So today we're gonna make a type of carbonara, but I do not eat pork, so, well, I don't eat meat. So I'm not gonna use regular ham or bacon. I'm actually going to make a kind of mushroom bacon, and I'm also going to add some asparagus in. So we're going to do kind of like a twist on carbonara, but I'm going to teach y'all the basics on how to get that egg and pasta sauce, or pasta water sauce. That is kind of tough for some to nail, but once you get it, it's a super easy recipe. And also today we're going to talk about Lorena Bobbitt. Now, Lorena Bobbitt is a pretty well-known name, as well as John Wayne Bobbitt, her ex-husband. And that is the name that she's recognizable by, but she goes by Lorena Gallo now, so that is how I'll try to refer to her for the rest of the episode, out of respect, because she is a victim in this case. And I will also preface this by saying the other victim in this case, John Wayne Bobbitt, her husband, I will not be nice to or about him, and once we get into the case you'll understand why. Please, no one accuse me of being insensitive or crass. He's an asshole, he deserves it, just trust me. Alright, so let's start with some ingredients. Now, I have 2 eggs, I have 2 cloves of garlic, but this is gonna go, the garlic's gonna go in 2 different places. So for the carbonara, I'd say you only need about a clove. I have a third, well, it depends. Again, I'm making this recipe for myself, like everything else. So if you want to multiply this recipe, use your common sense, obviously. And you can just also Google this recipe. It's very simple. It's pretty much the same across the board. But a lot of people just have issue with the actual technique of it. So that's what we're kind of focusing on today. Make sure you don't end up with scrambled eggs. Anyway, I've got a 1/3 cup of Pecorino cheese. You can also use Parmesan. And I also have some of the Pecorino cheese on the side. I'm going to use that for my asparagus. Now, also for my asparagus, I have rosemary and I have lemon. Now, if you don't want to add asparagus to your plate, you don't need any of that. I have a few mushrooms, and now this kind of depends on how much you're making. I only have a couple because I'm making 1 plate of this, but obviously more is necessary. Shallot. And I have spaghetti pasta. I have parsley flakes. Now, fresh parsley is obviously better, but I have what I have right now, and I'm not running to the grocery store unnecessarily because we are still at a stay-at-home order. And then, of course, olive oil, necessary for almost all recipes, and salt and pepper. Alright, I think that's everything. So, get started. First, we're going to prep our ingredients that are going in the oven. So I have a baking pan, and it is already oiled up, and my oven is already preheated to 375. I have an empty bowl. Now, if you're not vegetarian, and you're not interested in trying it vegetarian, just replace mushrooms with ham. And you're going to cook it a little bit differently. You're going to go ahead and cook it in the skillet and reserve some of that fat. That's the traditional way to cook it anyway. You're not wrong for that. This is just another idea. So I'm actually not even going to cut up this 3rd mushroom. I'm just going to use what I've got here because that's plenty for me. And I'm going to put them in this bowl Now you see I've cut them long ways, they're sliced. I'm going to do a little bit of olive oil. And a little bit of salt and pepper. Now, start on the case. So, Lorena Gallo moved to America from Venezuela not super long before she met her soon-to-be husband. Well, she moved here from Venezuela. She was born in Ecuador, and when she moved here, she was, I believe, 17, and she had a very conservative family, but she would go out with her friends, the Castro sisters. So while out with them one day, she met John Wayne Bobbitt. Well, that sucks. What? Starting off, we're going to take the mushrooms that we've now tossed in oil and salt and pepper. We're going to put them on the pan. Just make sure they're spread out, you know, not on top of one another. And then we'll start on the asparagus, which are going on the same pan. So, she meets John Wayne Bobbitt, and they're at like a little dance style thing, so he asks her for a dance, and he gets her phone number, they start dating, and this guy, just right off the bat, is such a piece of crap. I mean, like, he sucks. John Wayne and Lorena went out for about 10 months. And because Lorena came from a kind of more conservative family, she had to always have a chaperone with her when she went out. Which, you know, alright. But this might also be why she never really got the abusive side of John Wayne while they were dating. Which, not never, because he was still an asshole, but, you know, it's a lot harder for abusers to act the way that they're going to in public, or in private, when they're in public with witnesses. Well, after about 10 months, now, I'm taking some garlic, about a pinch of garlic, and I'm just going to spread it over the asparagus that I just laid out on the pan. He's in the Marine Corps, and he takes her to this pool on base, and they're swimming, and he goes to the bottom of the pool and finds a ring. So any reasonable person would, like, I don't know, take the ring to the lost and found maybe, or literally, I don't even want to say like criminal activity or anything, but like, okay, found a ring, even sell it. Like, I mean, I could think of 1,000 things that a normal human being would do with a ring that they found at the bottom of the pool, other than what John Wayne did next. So John Wayne comes up to the surface of this pool with this ring that he found at the bottom, and he proposes to his girlfriend of 10 months, Lorena Gallo. So, clearly, already, this man's fucking nuts. I mean, seriously, what the hell? Who does that? That's nuts. Well, Lorena, she did really like John Wayne. And she says, you know, he kind of represented to her the American dream. He was in the military, and, you know, he had to be generally nice. Now, I left out, while they were dating, he would always forget his wallet and end up having her pay for stuff. So like, not that that's criminal or anything, but like, you ask a girl out on a date, you go do a bunch of stuff that costs money, and you go, you know, act like you're about to pay and then forget your wallet conveniently over and over. I'm just saying it's a red flag. But, you know, he was in the military, he was an American, he was handsome by most people's account. I mean, he had blue eyes and was just that boy next door kind of look. So she said, if you're serious and you want to get married, then okay. Well, he was serious and they got married. Her parents were pretty happy about it, actually, because all the reasons I just said, that he's, you know, an American and in the military, and they didn't know anything about how terrible he was going to be. She didn't even know that. So, can't really blame any of them, obviously. Only one here I'm going to be blaming is John Wayne. And you'll understand why. So, now we've got everything on the pan, and I've got my asparagus tossed in oil, garlic, salt and pepper, and the rosemary and lemon. Actually, not salt and pepper. I'm going to dabble some parmesan on top, and then we're going to pop it in the oven. And the mushrooms on the other side just have salt and pepper and oil, and they're tossed in there. Now here's the pecorino. Just toss that over the asparagus. And we're putting it in the oven. Anyway, I've got a pot of salted water boiling. It's been boiling for about, you know, as long as it's taken me to prep that. So I'm going to stick the pasta in there. And alright, so next we're going to do some shallot. I'm going to use about a quarter of a shallot. And of course, if you're cooking for more people, use more shallot. So, where were we? So Lorena and John Wayne get married, unfortunately. And really, as soon as he is like alone with her in their own home, it begins. The abuse starts. And that abuse is like super well documented. Like very well documented. There's pictures, there's eyewitness accounts, and in fact, there is military court ordered counseling for the two of them because of the abuse. Because the military actually did find John Wayne guilty of abusing his wife, domestic abuse, and they were going to counseling about it until he left the military in 1991. So they were married in 1989, and he was found guilty by the military for the sexual assault, or the domestic abuse. Sorry, he's done actually a lot, so it's kind of hard to keep straight. But he was found guilty after 1990, and then he got out in 1991. So after that, he was actually back in courts more than once for abusing Lorena, between sexual assault, which he was acquitted, and the reason he was acquitted is that they had just started recognizing marital rape anywhere, and they actually, in that in that state in Virginia, they weren't recognizing it yet, so it had to be classified as sexual assault, marital sexual assault. And it was something that she wasn't gonna win. So, and I say that it wasn't on the books yet because it technically was, but it only was constituted as marital rape if you guys were married but not still in the same house. So basically separated. Well, or if they sustained like life-threatening injuries or something. Now that's not to say that Lorena didn't sustain quite a few injuries, but not life-threatening that time. So he wasn't found guilty of the marital rape charges, but he had been found guilty of domestic violence against her multiple other times. This woman was being tortured. So, while that's cooking, we're going to start the kind of beginning processes of pasta sauce. So, turn the heat on for the saucepan and dabble a little bit, about 2 tablespoons. Or not really that much, more like 1 tablespoon. Olive oil, and keep that on a low heat. And we're going to toss in the garlic so that can get fragrant. And I'm just gonna do like a handful of the shallots. And we're gonna cook that again until fragrant. So now we're going to take 1 egg. Well, again, this is for a small amount. And then an egg white, or an egg yolk. So, and you see what I'm doing? I cracked it. And this is actually a trick I learned bartending. So you crack the egg and then you just kind of softly toss the yolk between the 2 shell halves, and that'll separate them. So whether you're trying to just get egg white or you're just trying to get egg yolk, it's a good trick. So here I've got 2 egg yolks. Let's go ahead and be rid of the other egg white. So I've got 2 egg yolks and some egg white. I'm going to go ahead and toss in the parmesan, or pecorino actually, we keep calling it parmesan. And mixing that together. Till it's nice and thick, almost creamy. So separately, we're going to take, let's see, alright, so we're going to put some extra pasta water on the side. And that is to kind of add as necessary. So back, we're gonna kind of speed ahead. So now Lorena, this John Wayne is a piece of crap, and he's been a piece of crap the whole marriage. And the night that he was acquitted of marital rape, he's drunk, he's super drunk, he assaults her again, and he tells her that no matter what happens, no matter where she goes, he will find her and he will assault her. So she said she went into the kitchen for a glass of water, she saw the knife, and something snapped. So she took a knife back to her bedroom and she cut off her husband's penis. Then she got in her car, she drove off, and she tossed it out the window. And when asked why she tossed it out the window, she said, well, obviously I couldn't drive with it in my hand. Obviously, I mean, so she tossed it by a 7-Eleven, and when the police got a hold of her, she did tell them where it was. I mean, she even said she's not a vindictive person. She told them where it was, and John Wayne had it reattached and went on to live just fine. But anyway, so they have to go to court now on both sides. Lorena has to answer for cutting off her husband's penis, and John Wayne has to answer for the years of abuse and torture that he put his wife through. So let's check on our veggies in the oven again. Alright, so we set aside pasta water, so we drain the rest of the pasta. I'm tossing it into the pan. Now, this is the part that's important so we don't end up with scrambled eggs. Slowly add the egg mixture while whisking the pasta so that it doesn't have time to cook. Now, I don't have a ton of pasta in here, so I'm putting it in real slow. And you just want to toss it until you have a nice coating on all the pasta, the nice creamy, cheesy, and you just want to toss. Alright, so our mushrooms are done, and our asparagus along with it. So I'm tossing in these pieces of mushroom. Into our pan. And we're going to toss the pasta once again with the mushrooms in there. John Wayne's trial wasn't allowed to be shown on TV because it was a sex crimes case. He had sexually assaulted his wife over and over and over. But that was the trial with a lot of damning evidence to that point. So when her trial was publicly, on TV and everything, people didn't have the context. So what happened was society kind of ran with this racist and sexist commentary on the entire situation. And I say racist, I know a lot of people look at her and think that that's a white woman. She's Latina, she's from Venezuela, and she's from Ecuador. And it was racist because a lot of people frame this as like some sort of hot-headed, like crazy Latina situation, when it wasn't. It was a situation where a woman was brutally tortured for 4 years and then snapped because the system was failing her. So they go to court. John Wayne is convicted of his shitty crimes, and then Lorena has to go to trial for her crime of, in my opinion, defending herself. Now, she was acquitted by insanity, or momentary insanity, basically, which she had to spend some time in a mental facility, but not very long, and then she got out and got to live a very successful life as a hairdresser, and then a real estate agent. Now she runs she's still a real estate agent. She runs a foundation called the Lorena Foundation for Domestic Violence Victims. So she's doing wonderful, but did have to spend some time in a mental health facility. But during her trial, witnesses came in troves testifying to the fact that John Wayne was an abusive asshole. In fact, witnesses came forward and said from his own mouth that he told them he was into sexually assaulting women. Like, that's what he was into. That is nuts. Like, how do you just like that tell people that that's your kink? Now, John Wayne came from a really abusive family, which a lot of these assholes do, but that doesn't excuse what he did to Lorena. And honestly, in my opinion, she had every right to do what she did. Now, after John Wayne was set free and off on his own, he made a lot of friends, including Howard Stern and I believe Ron Jeremy. So Howard Stern deserves like Asshole of the Millennium Award for the way he treated this case. Fuck you, Howard Stern. Just up, down, left, right. Howard not only paid for John Wayne Bobbitt's penis enlargement surgery, which, weird, why? But not only did he do that, but he actually, like, said, I don't believe that he raped her because she's not even that good looking. If you don't believe me, you can look this up. He definitely said it. What an asshole. Obviously, anyone with 2 brain cells understands that that's not what sexual assault is even about. Plus, Lorena was a gorgeous woman, so that, I mean, I hate to even dignify what he said with any kind of response, but y'all need to understand Howard Stern is a dick. This was unnecessary. Like, Howard Stern's commentary on this went on. He had John Wayne Bobbitt on as a regular, like, commentator. And they became close friends, like I said, him paying for his surgeries. Now, Ron Jeremy got him jobs doing porn. So he started films like Frankenpenis. Yeah, I mean, just class act, really great guy. Now, obviously, I don't have anything against porn, obviously, but Frankenpenis, are you serious? Are you gonna have sex with someone named Frankenpenis? And honestly, if your answer is yes, I'm not judging you because morbid curiosity, I don't know. But knowing what a dickhole this guy is, I can't imagine. Like, yes, you have a Frankenpenis, and also you're a terrible human being. I feel like that's 2 reasons not to do it, ladies. But anyway, so he went on to have a nice celebrity-filled life. And Lorena, even after she got out of the mental institution, or mental hospital, she wanted to live a normal life, and she still to this day lives in Manassas, Virginia, where this happened, and she refuses to leave. And she doesn't leave because she says this is her home. She shouldn't let him get the last laugh, and I agree. But she has to deal with being recognized every day of her life for something that's part of a really traumatic part of her life. So, That is the real story of what happened between Lorena Gallo and John Wayne Bobbitt. Now, John Wayne is still to this day harassing this poor woman, sending her love letters, sending her kind of threatening love letters even, and telling her that they should get back together. In fact, Jordan Peele made an excellent documentary about this case, and interviews both of them, and John Wayne still says that he thinks they should get back together. Now, of course, Lorena says hell no, especially considering after they separated permanently, John Wayne went on to abuse several other women. In total, he had domestic violence and rape accusations. Oh, no, not accusations. Charges from 5 different women. So this is a monster of a man. Shouldn't be walking among us. However, he lives literally a stone's throw away from me. So, you know, that sucks. But he is not in good standing in this area either, considering I believe at least 2 of those assault charges have been here in northern Las Vegas. So, screw you, John Wayne Bobbitt, and I'm glad someone chopped you up a little bit. But anyway, let's plate up our dish.
Alright, so I will end this by quoting Jordan Peele about this story. He said, "There is a third character in this story, and that is us, society, and what we did with the information." And he's right. Honestly, the third person in this story is us, and the pain that we caused Lorena as well. I mean, obviously not some of us, we weren't alive yet, but society as a whole, we have to be careful how we handle information, especially as court cases like this become more public. But on a lighter note, this is our finished product. Looks wonderful. Obviously we have some glossy, beautiful noodles and asparagus and mushrooms, and it's delicious.